The First Thanksgiving
by Shauni Marks.
Ace Petty.
And Sabriin Osman.
During the first winter in Plymouth, nearly half of the original 102 colonists died. Of the 102 colonists, a total of 5 women, 35 men, and 17 children perished. They decided to make a treaty with the Wampanoag so they would not starve the next winter. The Wampanoag taught the Plymouth colonists how to farm. This led to good harvest for the next winter. When and where was the first Thanksgiving?
The first Thanksgiving was on the 4th of November, 1621. The Pilgrims and the Wampanoag Indians held this feast in Jamestown, Virginia. They came together for this historical harvest feast to honor the Wampanoag for their help. The two peoples wanted peace between them.
How did the first Thanksgiving come about?
The Pilgrims celebrated their successful harvest in 1621 by shooting their guns into the air. This caused Chief Massasoit to bring together Wampanoag warriors and prepare for battle because they thought the sound of the guns were declaring war. This was a misunderstanding, so instead of fighting, the Wampanoag and Pilgrims worked together to prepare a feast.
What food did they eat at the first Thanksgiving, and how did they gather, hunt, and prepare the food?
The food eaten at the feast was seafood, duck, wild turkeys, venison, and vegetables that they had planted. They caught their food by fishing, hunting, and trapping animals. The way that they had prepared the food was by cooking over a fire because they did not have ovens or stoves.
How was the first Thanksgiving celebrated? The Pilgrims celebrated by coming together with the Wampanoag tribe and having a historical feast for them both. This feast included foods eaten by the Indians and food brought by the Pilgrims.
Who was at the first Thanksgiving?
The Pilgrims and the Native Americans, King Massasoit, and 90 Wampanoag tribesmen attended the first Thanksgiving.
How long did the first Thanksgiving last? The first Thanksgiving lasted 3 days. During those 3 days, the Pilgrims and Native Americans celebrated by playing games and eating.
Who organized the first Thanksgiving?
Governor William Bradford organized a food feast called Thanksgiving while inviting the Native Americans and the Wampanoag Chief Massasoit.
What was it like actually being there? Edward Winslow's writing tells us what it was like. Here's what he wrote. Our harvest being gotten, and our governor sent 4 men on a fowling, that so we might after a more special manner respice together. After we had gathered the fruit of our labors, they four in one day killed as much fowl, as with a little help beside, served the company almost a week, at which time, amongst other recreations, we exercised our arms, many of the Indians coming amongst us, and among the rest of their greatest, King Massasoit, with some 90 men, whom for 3 days we entertained and feasted. And they went out and killed 5 deer, which they brought to a plantation and bestowed on our governor, and upon the captain and others. And although it be not always so plentiful as it was at this time with us, yet by the goodness of God we are so far from want that we often wish you partakers of our plenty. We have found the Indians very faithful in their covenant of peace with us, very loving and ready to pleasure us. We often go to them, and they come to us. The Pilgrims' first winter was very difficult. Just half of the colonists survived. Only 5 women remained. These women prepared food for the feasting, and children helped. William Bradford recorded that besides waterfowl, there was a great store of wild turkeys, of which they took many, besides venison, etc. They had about a peck of meal, ground grain, a week to a person, or now since harvest, Indian corn to that proportion. The Wampanoag, who shared in feast, also experienced difficult times. They had lost many of their people because of disease. They had become weaker in comparison to their enemies, the Narragansett. The Wampanoag formed an alliance with the colonists to increase their strength. The Wampanoag were welcomed into the village, and so was the meat they brought. Peace between the two groups would not last but for 3 days. They shared in celebration and give thanks. Studies Weekly, Week 9, 2023.